Hey guys, it's Miss Davison. For this week, we're gonna focus a little bit on geometry. We're gonna get into points, lines, line segments, and rays. That's kind of how geometry starts. Geometry is a lot of shapes, lines, angles, and things like that. I do want you to have your journal out so you can be taking some notes that I tell you to take down. Pause the video at any time that you need to sit there and just kind of think about what I'm saying, reflect on what I'm saying. I might even tell you to pause the video so you can try to do it on your own, do it independently and things like that. But then resume the video so you can see maybe what the answer is or what I'm trying to say, okay? But I do want you to have your journal out. So we're gonna start with point. Point. Do this with your fist. Point. This is how I remember point. It is just literally a point. It is a certain space, maybe where a line ends. So you would have your point at the end. We kind of call it an endpoint. It might be where two lines meet, and then right where they meet is their point. Okay, so an example to draw a point. I want you to write point, and then for point, we just draw a circle. And then all of these lines, points, line segments, rays, angles, they always have a letter or some sort of name. Just like we have a name, they have names too. So that would be point A. This is a point. That's how we remember point. Okay? Line, going down to line. Now a line, we just draw a straight line, right? Now, we normally use rulers for this, but I'm on my screen, so I don't really have a way to do that. But if you do have a ruler and you're making these in your journal, use a line so you can have, we do normally have very straight and very precise lines, okay? So a line, if you look here, has two arrows at the end, okay? That means that they can go in that direction, okay? So a line can go in both directions. Now, if you do your hand like this, kind of make like an arrow, okay? Do it on both sides, and then arms out straight. That would be a line because it has two arrows at the end and it can go in both directions, okay? That is what a line is. A line segment, okay? Again, try to draw straight, but if you notice, they have points at the end. Oh, and I forgot to name my line here. This would be line A, B. That's that line's name. Everybody has to have a name, okay? Line segment has 2 points at the end. So we know how to make a point, make a fist with both hands, and then arms out straight. That is what a line segment is. Now for the points, that means that is where it ends, okay? So this line segment is stopping. It has 2 endpoints, so it has to stop, okay? Kind of like a stop sign. It does not have the arrows like a line, so it does not keep going. That's where it stops. That's why we have the endpoints there, okay? We could call this one line segment B, C. Okay, that's its name. Its name is BC. Okay, so line segment, 2 points, arms out straight. Okay, last but not least, you have a ray. Okay, we have a straight line again, but on one side, we have an arrow, and one side, we have a point. We'll name this one D, E. Okay, a ray. So one hand is going to be like this in an arrow shape, how we did our line, and one hand will be like this for our point. Arms out straight, that is a ray. A ray can go in the direction that the arrow is pointing, okay? If the arrow is pointing to the right, it can go to the right. If it was pointing to the left, and the endpoint was on the other side, it would be going to the left and the left only. Remember, a line, it can go both directions, but a ray, it just goes in one direction. And then the point is where it ends or where it stops, okay? That is what a point is an end point. It's where it stops, okay? So this slide right here is kind of just asking us to highlight each one of the ones we just learned about. So I'm just going to do a few of them and I want you to try to find the rest. So it says to highlight the points in both shapes. Remember I said a point is like an end point where two lines maybe meet or the line ends. There's an end point, okay? So I would say this is a point because the two lines meet. This is a point. This is a point. This is a point, and so on. I want you to pause the video and try to figure out the rest of your points, okay? Where would your points go? Now, in this shape, I would do, that's a point because that's where two lines are meeting or one is ending, point, okay? I just did two of those, so now you pause the video and see if you can find where your other points will go. Remember, it has to be where two lines meet or where one of them ends and then there's a point, okay? This says highlight the lines. Now, if you go back to the first slide, a line has two arrows at the end. So, oh, let's look. Does that have two arrows at the end? No. Oh, look here. That has an arrow here, but it doesn't have one there. Oh, what about here? Here is one that has an arrow on both ends. So that means it's going in both directions for a line. Okay, that is a line. Now pause the video and see if you can find the other line. Okay, line segment, remember, go back. Line segment has what at the end? 2 points. Very good. So, oh, look there. Does that have a point at both ends, an end point? That means it ends. Remember, line segment, points at the end, it ends. So here is one of the line segments because it has an end point on both sides. Now I want you to pause and find the other line segment. Okay, array, going back, array has a point and an arrow. So one side, it goes in that direction, but then one side it ends, okay? So right here, I have a point where two lines are meeting, where it's ending, it's not going anywhere else, and then I have an arrow meaning it's going in that direction. So that is one of the rays. I want you to pause the video and find the other ray, okay? So we have point, line has two arrows at the end, straight. Line segment has our 2 points at the end points, straight. An array has a point on one end and an arrow, and then it's out straight. Okay? All right, moving on. So they just want us to name what these are, whether it's a point, array, a line segment, or a line. So this has a point and an arrow. Okay, I want you to pause the video and see if you can name that one. That is a ray. Very good if you got that right because it has an endpoint and an arrow. Okay, this one has 2 endpoints. 2 endpoints. Go back to the other slides or use your memory. Pause the video. Tell me what this is. Which one is this? Yes, it is a line segment. Very good if you got that right. Oops, that's an S. It's so hard to write on this. I'm not going to write it all just for time. Okay, this one has 2 arrows at the end. So it's going in both directions. Pause. See if you can figure out which one this is. Very good. It's a line. Awesome job. It's just a line because it has 2 arrows going in both directions. Okay, that one was kind of a race, so we're just going to move on from that one. This one right here, we know it's just a dot. It's just a circle. It's just an endpoint. So it's just a point. Very good. Point. Okay, awesome, awesome. Now, if you notice, they do have letters, okay? So that's what brings us to the next slide, okay? How would we write this? Okay, we said this was a ray because it has an endpoint and an arrow. It has its letters for its name. So all you do is take the 2 letters, Put them together so we know that its name is AB. Hey, Mr. AB, how you doing? And then at the top, you just draw a ray, a little mini ray. So it has an arrow and a point. You just literally draw what you see. I see a point and an arrow. So I drew a point and an arrow over the letters. So this is ray AB. That's how we write it. Okay, we said this was a line segment because it had two end points. It has the two end points. And the letters are DE, so we know its name is DE. Hello, DE. Okay, then we just draw a little line segment at the top, okay, with the endpoints. You just literally draw what you see, okay? We said this was a line, okay? This is line X, Y, because those are the letters. And then at the top, I just draw a line with two arrows at the end, meaning it can go in both directions. Okay, last but not least, this is just a point, and its name is what? What's the letter? C. So it's just point C. That's its name. Okay, very good. Now, for this last slide, I want you to pause the video and you're going to try to figure out, you draw a line, so a line to the definition. Now that's not right, I'm just giving you an example. So you would draw a line from ray to whichever one of these you think is the definition of ray based on what we've talked about. Okay, so I want you to pause the video. You can do this in your journal. Okay, write the names here and then write the definitions. And then I want you to draw a line to which one is the definition for that word. Okay, so remember a ray is a point and an arrow. It can go in one direction, but it stops in the other. A point. It's just a place where lines end, where they meet. A point maybe in somewhere random. Okay, point. Okay, line, two arrows at the end. It can go in both directions. Okay, line. And then line segment is with two points at the end, meaning that line ends at both sides. Okay, it stops at both sides, arms out. Okay, so this is what I want you to do in your journal. Okay, then I want you to take a picture of this in your journal and post it to your portfolio. Okay, I'm gonna have a portfolio set up that says math lesson week, 420, that's the date. 420, week 420 math lesson. And I want you to take a picture of this and post it in your portfolio so I can see. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, of course. This is just the start of geometry. We'll move into kind of angles and shapes and things like that. Certain other types of lines, maybe throughout this week or, possibly into next week. Okay, so remember to do this in your journal and take a picture and post it into your portfolio. Okay, all right, adios, friends.